On today's show, the LA Clippers beat the Golden State Warriors again. Second time this season. They've only lost 3 games and 2 of them have been to the LA Clippers. Is it a matchup thing? Or have the Clippers just played 2 of their best games of the season against the Warriors? Going to be talking about a big win. Back-to-back wins on back-to-back nights. On today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. I'm your host, Darian Vaziri, born and raised in LA and in my 20th season as a Clipper fan. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where a vlog of what I considered maybe the best game I've attended this season will be on the channel. We're going to be talking about that game right here on Locked On Clippers. You can subscribe on YouTube. You should subscribe on YouTube with the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video, but you can also find it wherever you get your podcasts. And Locked On Clippers now has a newsletter. Yes, a daily newsletter written by yours truly. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com to support your boy with the free Locked On Clippers newsletter. And this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. All you got to do is download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. All right, Clipper Nation, what a win. I'm going to be talking about how we won the game. In my opinion, what the identity of what this team is becoming. And then the guys that did it, and then our guys, the homegrown guys, that had a nice second half especially. And a little injury with KPJ. So we'll get into all that. Clippers beat the Warriors 102-99 in their second matchup against them this season. And the Golden State Warriors have been one of the surprises of the NBA season so far. A 10-3 record even with this loss. But 2 of those 3 losses have come to us. So it makes you think, is it a matchup problem? Well, I want to say that Kawhi Leonard did not play in this game, so that hurts their size. But they have struggled with Ivica Zubac in ways. Because a lot of times they want to go with Draymond at the 5. And they don't want Draymond getting in foul trouble. We don't necessarily look to hunt Draymond switched on a Zoo. If they're switching everything with Draymond at the 5, we can target certain guys. And when we target certain guys, they end up double teaming. And after the way we played against them last time, even with Trayce Jackson-Davis, they're doubling. But the way Zubac played against them last time, you were going to get doubles coming from the Warriors against him. So I think that hurts them a bit. And then they have an improved arsenal or array of perimeter defenders this season. DeAnthony Melton is one of them, and he wasn't available. But Gary Payton Jr. probably is the best of them all. But he's just not good enough offensively in any aspect to warrant, I guess, getting more minutes. He literally can be a liability offensively at times. And it's not just that he can't shoot. It's that he doesn't really show any aspect of putting the ball on the floor, creating his own shot, being good from anywhere on the floor, shooting the ball necessarily. I mean, yeah, he's an incredible defender and a fantastic leaper and athlete. But, you know, and it's unfortunate. You know, like, when you have those kinds of shoes to fill or just, like, that legacy to live off of or try to, you know, build off of, or what's the right word I'm looking for? To live up to that, it's hard. Gary Payton's one of the best point guards ever. But it's funny that the last shot came down to him. And, you know, we threw 3 bodies on Steph Curry after that offensive rebound scramble that the Warriors got on that last possession. But Norman Powell getting cookied by Gary Payton Jr. That, you know what's funny? That last 30 seconds is Gary Payton Jr. in a nutshell for you as an NBA player. Great steal on Norman Powell, but gets the wide open three, and teams will throw every defender at Steph Curry if it means getting Gary Payton Jr. to shoot a wide open three. The Clippers, at times in the game, were putting Zoo and Mo Bamba on Gary Payton because, you know, they don't care to use Gary Payton as a screener of the Warriors. And when he's hanging out in the corner, you'll just have your big men sag off, and then you'll have someone else guard your Draymonds of the world and just switch. You'll just switch a lot more. You'll have Zoo guarding those non-shooters or Bamba guarding those non-shooters to help. You saw that from Ty Lue and Jeff Van Gundy in this game. But I think it is a matchup thing. The point I was trying to make was De'Anthony Melton didn't play, right? But outside of Gary Payton Jr., they have some solid perimeter defenders. Moody, Pods, Kyle Anderson, and of course the best one, Andrew Wiggins. But outside of Andrew Wiggins, I don't think the others, Kyle Anderson, I don't know if I mentioned him, and Kuminga, these guys are all solid, but they don't really have a guy that can do a great job staying in front of James, it seems, still. They don't have that level of guy. I mean, I think Gary Payton, if you could play more, but he continuously got us good looks, and I think it started right away. And when you talk about the identity of the Clippers, this is their identity. We are a defense-first team with really active hands. We struggle offensively because we legitimately just don't have great ball handlers and playmakers on the ball. That's why James Harden has had such a heavy workload, and you can see the fatigue as this game went on. But he still had some great moments in that fourth. It was just a stretch in that beginning of the fourth, and when the Warriors were making their run, where he looked gassed. But especially, and you noticed it from his lack of off-ball movement. You know, part of the reason we got so stagnant is because James at times was just standing at half court, like just standing so far away that when he catches the ball, he's not going to be able to do anything off of it. And he's literally allowing his defender to guard two at once. That's something I try to tell my players not to do at all. And it's not because James Harden doesn't know that, but I think he can be lazy off the ball, and because he was tired. But he wasn't the only one. Kevin Porter Jr. fairly stagnant as well, and just those moments where the Warriors were switching everything in that second half, we started to get stagnant again because they took Trace Jackson-Davis out. And that's what you're going to try to see teams do. Obviously, against the Utah Jazz, that's no problem. The Warriors had better defenders, and James Harden did not have the best shooting game. He had 12 points, 6 rebounds, 16 assists, though, and 2 steals and 2 blocks. I think the last 2 games, these 2 home games, James has stepped up his defense a lot. But he was 4 for 15 from the field and 2 for 6 from 3 and just 2 for 2 from the foul line. So it was back to that not great shooting from James Harden, but the 16 assists to only 3 turnovers, that's what you love to see. And so our identity for me is the defense forcing turnovers, which we did in abundance again in this game, just like on Sunday night. We forced 19. Wow, we ended up turning the ball over more than them. That's crazy. It's crazy because at one point we had turned the ball over like, I think maybe 10 times less. Maybe I'm getting confused with the Utah game. But we were turning the ball over significantly less than them at halftime. And then I remember looking up at the Halo, and I was like, yo, we're like neck and neck with them in turnovers. But 19 for them, 20 for us. Here's the thing. We forced 19 turnovers and scored 31 points off of them. We'll take that. We actually shot slightly worse than them from the field, 44% for them, 43% for us. But we shot 47% from 3. They shot 36%. But in Warrior fashion, they got up 10 more than us. So we actually made the same amount, 16 apiece, but we shot a better percentage. So it's great to see us obviously shoot a great percentage from 3, which I wouldn't say that's necessarily part of our identity, even though we started the season well shooting from 3. But the free throws, that's where the Warriors really lost the game. 9 for 19, 6 of them against the wall, which you got to love. Shout out to the wall. Obviously, I was in there, but shout out to everybody else as well. 89% for us from the line, 16 for 18. And free throw shooting, that's lost us some games this season. So it's great to see us be on the other side of that. So if there's one takeaway from the game in terms of a team concept, I would say it's free throw shooting was to our advantage in this game for the first time, and that was great. Amir Coffey made some big ones in that fourth quarter. But Norman Powell, his shot making was huge. I'll talk about that a little bit more in the next segment. But as far as our identity, it's defense first. It's forcing turnovers with the hands of Chris Dunn, with the hands of Derrick Jones, James Harden as well, and the off-ball pressure of Terance Mann and Amir Coffey. Amir Coffey's ball denial has been exceptional this season. And then offensively, we struggle to score. That's obvious, right? It really comes down to James Harden and guys like Kevin Porter to create a lot offensively. We also have Zubac that we throw it down to in the low post that we've leaned into more this season, and Norman Powell coming off certain actions. Now, of course, Norm just not the same level of shot creator, and we've seen these last couple games, Norm, he's not really a great shot creator. He's showing a little bit more of the handle, but it doesn't seem like he's, making shots after all those moves, whether it be getting downhill for that floater with a guy right behind him or, pulling up after a couple dribbles over a defender. He's much better catching the ball and working quickly off the catch, in my opinion. But that's our identity for me. And the crazy part is there's a guy that is going to fit in like a glove on this team. And that's Kawhi Leonard. Because we have a team of very good defenders, right? Very good defenders. A lot of athleticism, a lot of size. He doesn't have to now work as hard defensively. And then offensively, he gives us exactly what we're missing, which is a guy that can create shots in the half court. Does he always create great shots for everyone else? No. But if you're telling me that contested 15-foot midi with Kawhi is a bad shot, to be honest, I'll take that shot over like 90% of shots in the game today. Even the open threes for some guys. Sorry. By the way, we are 24th in pace right now. So I just wanted to make sure I checked the numbers before I said it, but we feel like a slow team. Outside of the times that we get steals and turnovers and we get out and run a little bit, we're for the most part a very slow team, and that's because of James Harden to me and Zoo being our two best players. Well, you can argue Norm, who likes to get out and run. And James has done a good job being the trigger man for those, but he doesn't want to push pace like that. Kawhi Leonard's not going to help that at all. So again, fitting into a team that's slow, defensive-minded, sometimes can get out and run off the turnovers, but needs help offensively, that's going to be great. But I'm not going to sit here and give you hope about Kawhi. We've heard that he's starting to shoot now, but not going to play this week. That's the latest. But we have an identity in that sense. We're going to be hard to score on. We got more athletes. We got good point of attack guys. And it's going to be a lot of James Harden offensively and Norman Powell trying to hit shots. Got that in this game. Clippers win at 102-99, and coming up, going to be talking specifically about our best players and what they were able to do to help us win this one. I got to tell you a little something about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in over 30 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and Texas. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday each Tuesday. Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. So what do you got to do? Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. All right, Clippers getting one of their best wins of the season, 102-99 over the Golden State Warriors. That's their second win against the Warriors and the first team that we've beaten twice this season. So you love to see that. It wasn't easy. I mean, the Warriors are playing some of the best basketball in the NBA right now. And by the way, in terms of attendance, in terms of ambiance, I have a fun fact for Clipper Nation. I did some digging. It turns out that we actually have had sellouts at Intuit Dome. The stadium capacity, when you look it up online, is 18,000. But when you look at the capacity on opening night and in this game, and then the other game that I felt the most fans came to, the Toronto game, they were all the exact same number. So I did a little bit of digging, and I saw an ESPN article from before the season that said the exact capacity for basketball games. And that is 17,927. So the Clippers actually have had 3 sellouts this season. The first game, opening night against Phoenix. The game against the Raptors, because it was on a Saturday night, if I'm not mistaken, or Friday night, I forget. And then this game on Monday night, it was a sellout. It felt more full. Obviously, there were empty seats scattered around, but it's just about the tickets being sold. If you look around the league, a lot of sellouts are occurring, and not every single seat in the building is sold. So I'm happy to hear that, despite, my complaints about the parking situation and certain inconveniences relative to downtown that a lot of people have addressed to me in my videos and also off camera. But that's great to hear, that we haven't totally not sold out the new arena at all. And it was a great atmosphere. Obviously, you knew a lot of Warrior fans and Steph Curry fanboys are going to show up. I asked around, and the general consensus was about 60-40 Clippers fans. And I have to say, the wall helps so much with these kind of nights. Hopefully it translates when the Lakers come. But having that section of thousands of fans that are all together to start chants and just kind of set the tone for the noise in the building, I think that's awesome, and it really helped. So big win, 102-99. It was a Saturday night against Toronto, by the way. Let's talk about the guys. James Harden, I thought he got things going by getting downhill. Wiggins was guarding him at first, but 1 through 4, they were pretty much switching. And then they went small pretty early, the Warriors. And they do that because they don't like the Trace Jackson-Davis Zubac matchup, and they want to be able to have Draymond guard Zoo. And then that's when we started trying to get Zoo in the low post and get him going against smaller guys and mismatches. But I thought James was at the forefront of what was a very hot Clipper start. Knocking down threes. Norm really good as well. They ran him off the line one time and he hit that pull-up mid-range. And Golden State, on the other hand, partially because of our defense, but they were still generating open looks, and they were missing a lot of open threes, and it was just a case of the opposite of what we saw against the Houston Rockets, where we were missing all our open threes, and they were making all of theirs. It was the other way around, and Steph Curry wasn't hitting, so we were really dodging some bullets, but overall, really good moments of active hands, chasing Steph around screens, talking on a lot of those two-man actions between Steph Curry and Draymond Green that have become like science. And I think we did a good job of letting Draymond shoot on Monday night. Let him shoot. I know he shot better from 3 last season, but I'm still living with that. The thing about this Warriors team, and I've watched their game against the Celtics that they won. Jaylen Brown didn't play, but they were quite spectacular defensively. And there were stretches in the game where Steph Curry just completely took it over. The games that they won against the Pelicans, 2 games without Steph that they won. Buddy Hield was just fantastic in those games, and Kuminga and Podge really showed a lot. But I think that may be more about how banged up New Orleans is. But the 2 times that we've played them, I just feel like without Steph, they're just not good offensively. But maybe our defense is that so good that it exposes that flaw in their team. That in the biggest levels and at the highest levels, they just don't have enough self-creation. I like Brandon Pajimski. He's a really good player. I think Andrew Wiggins is awesome. But against elite defenders, those guys aren't going to be able to create the second most on a team that has championship aspirations. I don't care what kind of start they've gone off to this season. They lack it. So for me, it just goes on Steph. Other than that, they return the ball over, and Steph was a part of that. And Steph is very reckless with the ball when he's on it. Very reckless. So but a lot of that's us using our hands so well. I mean, James Harden, we know what he can do when it comes to his hands. He was doing that before he was even a Clipper. And for him to get 2 steals and 2 blocks, huge, because I was very critical of him defensively the last couple of weeks, and I think deserved, but I'll give him his praise when he's good defensively, and I think the last 2 nights he has been. And then you talk about all the shots he's creating, I thought he had some really great ones late in the game. But I'll talk about that in a sec. As far as Zubac, he was in drop coverage defensively for most of the first half. And as I said, the Warriors were just missing a lot of threes. Later in the first half, Trayce Jackson-Davis started blitzing Harden, and Steph started hedging on Harden. So they wanted to only have their good defenders guard James. And this, to me, did slow him down a bit. It made it so that he was having to work so much harder for shots in isolation. And it stagnated our offense because James knows who he can go to work on easily and who's going to be a little bit tougher. And a lot of times with those tougher guys, he tends to dribble a lot and hold the ball a lot. And as the game's going on, I mentioned those moments where he was off the ball and just standing around and hurting the team. And you had Kevin Porter Jr., who was doing a lot of the stuff we'd seen in the past couple of weeks before he had his good stretch on offense, but defensively very solid as well. I'll talk about him a little bit more in the final segment. But in the first half, we outscored the Warriors 56-45. 27-22, we outscored them in the first, 29-23 in the second. So both quarters, love what we were doing defensively. I mean, guys like Chris Dunn and Derrick Jones, they just do such a great job of, chasing guys off screens, but also having their hands, out. So when a pass is made to guys that are cutting, that they're guarding, they often get a hand on it. Nico's very good about that as well. And, Nico was fantastic in the first half, but in the second half, I thought he was really bad in moments. But I'll talk about the bench mob more in the final segment. Steph woke up in that third quarter, though. The same looks he was missing in the first half, make it in the second half. And we started sending Zoo out to the level of the screen to try to prevent those. And I thought we did a pretty good job rotating on the backside when Steph made those passes. We gave Draymond Green some floaters, and he just didn't really hit. But at one point of the game, the Warriors tied it. Crowd's starting to get going, their contingent of fans, and I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. As they were switching everything, we got stagnant. And a lot of the lineups that we went with were 4 bench players and one starter, whether it be Harden or Zoo. And as far as Zoo, they were trying to get the ball out of his hands in these favorable matchups. But I love that we continued to feed him and he continued to be aggressive. He only shot 8 times, but he had the ball a lot. He had a team high plus 21. What I was very confused about as to why Ty Lue randomly went small, though, in that fourth quarter. The Warriors went on a 7-0 run the second Zoo came out. I don't know what we were thinking there, but 8 points, 17 rebounds for Zoo, 4 assists, 2 steals and a block. His rim protection was awesome as usual. I mean, there was moments where I thought he could have blocked shots that he didn't, but again, I have solid angles, but at most plays, especially on the side the wall side, but the other side, it's kind of tough to tell sometimes. But yeah, really good looks from Norm late, huge shots, and James Harden created a lot of those. We were really hunting Steph and Buddy Hield in the pick and roll, and as the game went on, they didn't like some of the stuff that was happening. The Warriors didn't like some of the stuff that was happening when we were putting 2 on the ball with Harden and what we were getting in terms of open threes. So then they just started letting Steph switch on to Harden, and Buddy Hield the same. And Harden created some advantages, and Norm did such a great job of relocating into Harden's line of vision and at some of those possessions. And James did a great job finding him, and Norm made some big shots. Still had to come down to that last possession, though, where he got ripped, and we had to, rely on Steph and Gary Payton missing 2 solid looks at 3 to win it, but we'll take it. 102-99, Norman Powell. So, by the way, Ivica Zubac, 8 points, 17 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, a block, and 1 turnover on 3 for 8 shooting, 2 for 2 from the foul line. And Norman Powell back on track, 23 points, 4 turnovers though, 9 for 15 from the field, 5 for 6 from 3, and a very rare game with no free throw attempts. But coming up, going to talk about some of the other guys, the local guys, Terance Mann and Amir Coffey, and then the other guys that put on that defensive intensity every single game. Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., and Nico Batum, and a little scared to KPJ. I got to tell you a little something about FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. And as far as FanDuel right now, we're looking at NBA awards odds. The leader for MVP is Jokic at a plus 210. Former Clipper Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in second place. Then as far as most improved player, you got Norman Powell in seventh place with plus 1,600. Where can you bet on all these fun things? FanDuel.com. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right. So now let's talk about our guys. But before we talk about the local guys, let's talk about Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn. Just love what they do on both ends of the floor. Both do such a great job of having their hands out and coming up with steals. Just when guys have a loose handle, their hands are out, they get the steal. Guys make a bad pass, their hands are out, they get a deflection. Little things like that. And of course, they move their feet well, as we know. Derrick Jones Jr. in this game, a little quieter. 7 points, 3 rebounds. Didn't turn the ball over, though, which I love. 2 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, and made both his free throws in 23 minutes. Solid game for him. Chris Dunn, I thought he should have played more than 19 minutes, especially when you play against a guy like Steph, but still did some really good things, man, especially chasing Steph around. 7 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, and he can handle the ball a little bit, so that might have alleviated some pressure off of James Harden, but we did win the game, so I don't like to complain too much or nitpick. But that was our starting lineup right there. Now the bench. Mo Bamba played 7 minutes. They said he was questionable to play in this game, but he ended up playing 7 minutes, and even though he was a minus 13, I don't think he was bad. I think he was fairly active. He had 3 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 steals. If he was bad, let me know, but I think the single game plus minus there is just not indicative of the way he played. But clearly, Ty Lue didn't like what he saw, but there's also the minutes restriction thing going on with Mo Bamba, so I don't know if it was that. But Kevin Porter, he had a game where it went from people saying at the arena and online on Twitter saying, oh, get him out the game. I can't watch him anymore. He's just taking tough shots. He's missing. But to be honest with you, I actually don't think he was taking tough shots. I think he was just bricking. I mean, there were tough shots, but those are shots that we've seen him make the last couple of games, and I think he was creating a little more separation than those first, 10 games or so. I think he was just missing. I don't think he was too bad. Defensively, he was actually very good. Had some really nice plays. He had 2 blocks in the game. Those are the plays I'm talking about. But he wasn't great because his process isn't good and he doesn't move off the ball. And he had he may have been concussed. The fact that he hit the floor and he got that and one, and then Amir shot the free throw for him, that's when you can't come back in the game when you let someone else shoot the free throw for you. So we'll see. And maybe there's an opportunity for Bones Highland if KPJ's hurt. Now, I obviously don't want KPJ to be hurt because I never want anyone to be hurt, especially on the Clippers. But I thought he was actually okay. If you disagree with me, let me know. And I could understand your point if you did. 8 points for him, 1 assist, 2 blocks, 3 turnovers on 3 for 9 shooting, and 2 for 2 from the foul line. Nico Batum, really good first half, really good both ends of the floor, made 3 threes, had 9 points, 3 rebounds, just 1 turnover on 3 for 6 shooting and 3 for 5 from deep. But in the second half, I think we went with him for a little too long. He was over helping at times unnecessarily, and you can see himself realizing it after the made shot would go in. And then he missed some easy ones on the offensive side and didn't box out a couple times. 9 points, 3 rebounds. All right, I already said that. But yeah, he was okay. I don't think Nico's been great this season so far. I think he's always good for a couple of good defensive minutes, but he can be a little better. At least that's from what I saw last year and in the Olympics. But he's older now, so maybe this is what I have to expect from him. As far as 2 guys that were really good for me, Amir Coffey and Terance Mann. Let's start with Amir Coffey. I thought at times he committed some bad fouls and his screen navigation wasn't too great in the first half. But his off-ball defense has been exceptional all season in terms of, denying and just making the catch tougher and being physical off ball with guys. You saw that. And then some of the huge defensive plays he made at the end of the game, that block on Steph Curry, and a good job denying, forcing a turnover right before that, and running the floor super well and just letting it fly with confidence. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 2 of them were offensive, an assist, a block, 2 turnovers on 3 for 8 shooting, 2 for 6 from 3, and 7 for 8 from the line. He got to the foul line more than anybody on the Clippers and tied for the most free throw attempts in the game with Andrew Wiggins. I thought he was fantastic. I thought he got up and down the floor very well. And you know who made him look good? Terance Mann. 4 games with Terance coming off the bench. I think 3 of them have been good. He was exceptional in this game. And these are the type of games where it's why I don't really put too much stock into when people go to the extreme with Terance. If you say, I think we should trade him, I totally don't mind that. If you say he's been playing bad, I don't mind that. But it's when you say we have to trade him, he's garbage, he's never been good, he's never improved. That's the kind of stuff where I just think it's inaccurate. I don't tend to really, put much stock into people that say that. Because the thing with Terance is, and this is the frustrating part, the fact that we have to talk about him looking like a completely different player because his confidence is so wavering, at age 28, is frustrating. He should be a little bit more secure in terms of who he is as a player at this point. But I guess the move to the bench was the right one. And he's playing with a newfound confidence. He was 2 for 6 from 3, but I liked all the ones he took. And him making 2 is definitely a step up. He was 2 for 4 from 2. But I just thought he did such a great job pushing the pace off of misses and finding guys in transition, in the short roll, and just drive and kick situations in general. Just really good effort. And he was rebounding. 10 points, 5 boards, 6 assists, 2 steals, no turnovers, and he was a plus 10. And it's just so unfortunate. And what about that dunk he had? He punched that thing. This is what he can do. It's why it's so frustrating. And I hope this is just a stretch that begins for him, because when he's playing well, he's just such a solid role player. He just does a little bit of everything. You saw that in this game. If you didn't see that, you're a blind man. My mom's an optometrist. You can come visit. So happy for Terance, though, to have some of these games, especially at home. And the plus minus does not lie on that one. Same with Zoo. They were the 2 guys with the highest plus minus. Not saying they played the best, but they made a great impact. My player of the game, I'm going to go with Norm because of the clutch shot making at the end. We just needed that. But you could definitely go with Harden. You could definitely go with Zoo. Some people after the game said to me, Terance or Amir, and I just, again, we spread the love over here at Clipper Nation. Huge win. You got to love that. That's 2 in a row. Can we make it 3 against the Magic? They don't have Paolo Banchero. I hope we can. We should. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. Subscribe to my own YouTube channel, Dime Dropper, where a video of the game, fan reactions, and the big stretches at the end will be out. It's awesome. It's full-on sellout according to the numbers. And Locked On Clippers is free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you know every single time we post a video. And if you can't watch on YouTube, then listen on audio wherever you get your podcasts. By the way, I just wanted to say Steve Kerr said that the 2 losses to the Clippers were the slowest games the Warriors have played because of James Harden's style of play on offense, which is obviously talking about a methodical approach, and our defense. And Ty Lue on Jeff Van Gundy after the game, he takes it personal. If we don't play defense well, he might not go home at night. I've got to check on him. You love people that put the work in and put the time in. He really cares. I'm glad he's here. JVG, you done saved my life. Because right now, 8-7 without Kawhi for his 15 games. By the way, don't forget the newsletter. Subscribe. It really helps your boy, and it's great. Favorite podcast, Locked On Clippers, daily newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. The age-old proverb continues. Go Clippers. Great win.